Yeah. Is my tracking dead or what? There we go. It was just frozen on my end for a bit. You'll have to give yourself a promotion, not for 105 consecutive streams. That you get to do that for free, my dude. You don't get a promotion for free. You have to earn that through hard labor.
You do that.
Anyways, good evening, my darling batlings. I'm joined tonight by JKR and Timo.
Say hello, Timo.
Did the mic not pick it up?
No.
Ah! Hi, guys.
You might want to turn down your sensitivity a bit if
probably
if it's cutting out stuff that you're saying.
All right. Voice and video. I have it to automatic.
Automatic's a horrible setting, actually.
And my regular, if I switch it off, is already pretty damn low. It's like negative 96 dB.
Like if you set it to automatic, it ends up automatically cutting out a lot of things. So that's why I never use automatic.
Huh, neat. Well, hopefully this works. Hey, guys. And now I'm always on. God damn it.
So tonight, the three of us are going to do the opposite of what the stream title says and engage in some premarital gex.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, it's tail time.
Now that's what I call getting some tail.
I wish these stars looked more realistic.
I don't get that one. We're not on the later Gex games yet.
Okay, so Sumi, I don't know what lines come from what game.
He's limited. He has a much more limited repertoire of quotes in the first game, I've noticed. And, well, obviously, you get more as it progresses. So, without further Mountain ado, let's stop the Ape Escape music before I get a content ID claim from Sony Music. And I actually played a little bit on this save earlier just to grind some more lives because I was down till like 4 last time.
Yeah. That's no good.
And as it turns out, it's actually really easy to stock up on lives in Gex. Because I spent about, like, 10 minutes just playing level 1 over and over again. And, trying to get the highest score I could get on its, bonus minigame. That was louder than I was expecting.
I mean, it wasn't too bad.
Not for us, no.
Yeah, not for you, because I'm still...
Discord audio gates. Woohoo!
Yeah. I'm still, fucking around with some settings. But yes, Crystal Dynamics. If you were not aware, Timo, this was meant to be Crystal Dynamics and Eidos's mascot for the 3DO.
Simply. I had just finished my usual morning routine.
Honestly, I could honestly see it. Yeah.
Crystal Dynamics and Eidos being known nowadays for Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, that horrible Avengers game.
Little did I
They tried.
My snack was sent by Rez.
So if you've ever wondered canonically why Gex's whole thing is shouting out random TV catchphrases and references, it's because he's addicted to watching TV. So he's like got an encyclopedic knowledge of pop culture references of the 90s.
So he's the average millennial. Got it.
Yes, except he has a much more complicated backstory that I went over in the first Gex stream. But I'll give you the cliff notes just to catch you up. As detailed in the manual, his dad died in a NASA rocket test.
Okay.
His family got loaded like a huge inheritance from his rich uncle. As revenge against NASA, his mother bought NASA and turned all of their labs and launch pads into Chuck E. Cheese restaurants.
Let's get it on.
What? Why? What?
Because why not?
Apparently, yeah, okay.
And I just saved over our
all that work you just did.
Yeah.
The 4 extra lives you got us. Oh no.
I was up to like 40 and we were halfway through the game.
Oh no. Scuff.
It's okay. I've got a second one where we're past the jungle world and the kung fu world. So I'll just replay those stages for posterity's sake. Because we were up to the jungle world earlier.
Oh, to get down.
Yeah, I've already beaten all these levels, but just for the sake of the stream, I'll play them again. Also, hi Husk. Hope you're doing well.
Hello.
So we had done that level. You see, I wish you could see which stage you were in front of. Just like, you know, the name popping up when you're in front of it instead of having to enter the stage to see which stage you're going to.
Yeah.
But once again, this was like Crystal Dynamics' and Eidos's first relatively big title.
Anything but this.
So they had a lot of learning to do. This stage I hate because it's an auto-scroller, and side-scrolling platformers with auto-scrolling stages give me anxiety.
That's a spot. This one's for Keith Moon.
And yes, Gex basically never shuts up. But he's an enduring kind of stupid, unlike Bubsy.
Yeah.
That's what I call getting some tail.
Yeah, this place has a little bit of a TikTok special.
Why are
You're
there
gonna
so
stress
many Indiana newts?
Did you hear him correctly? I don't know. It depends on what you heard, Husk.
Sweet. Candy.
I believe what he was referring to is, now that's what I call getting some tail.
Yeah, Gex was always meant to be like a little bit of an edgier mascot than like your Sonic the Hedgehog or your Super Mario. Because like one of his lines involves saying like who ordered the can of whoop ass in an E-rated game. And you know, Keith Moon as a reference to his very famous drug addictions. Or in the cartoon stage, in the cartoon world, one of the things he can say is, I'm not ready to have a second childhood. Or oother one being, my inner child is coming out and it hurts.
This one's for Keith Moon. It's tail time.
And I like that this game gives like an in-story explanation for why you're going through all these themed areas. You're traveling between TV channels because he was sucked into the TV.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, I don't know what channel would be showing this.
I mean, it's either the Discovery Channel or whoever was doing an Indiana Jones marathon.
I'm guessing Indiana Jones, given that some of the enemies are just lizard versions of Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Indiana Newt or whatever.
He turned me into a newt.
I got better.
Also, it wasn't until I played this for a video that I'm working on that I found out in the first jungle stage you can actually swim in the water. I thought it was just a
As
bottomless pit hazard. Because the game
As
never
opposed to most
tutorializes
characters.
swimming.
Yeah. I was gonna say, as opposed to like most games of the time where water is death.
Yeah. There's actually a whole water level in this game.
Nice.
But it's not until the Kung Fu world, weirdly enough. Also, the Kung Fu world, I love the boss in that one. Because the bosses have been pretty generic so far. Apart from the Cartoon World's boss, that one was like a Ren and Stimpy-ified version of Superman.
Oh dear.
Where, like, he's Superman who's fat and middle-aged and balding, and he flies around by propelling himself with farts and burps.
Ouch.
Yeah, that is comedically on par, I guess.
This game came out in '94, so it's fitting for the time.
Animaniacs levels of satire, absolutely a thing.
Yeah.
But the boss of this world's just like a dragon that you have to run away from. You don't even get to fight it. You just have to get to the end of the stage, and that defeats it.
Now, where's the fun in that?
And then
Absolutely.
the boss of the Kung Fu world is a Gamera parody. Which, you know, Godzilla's the obvious choice. I respect them for going for Gamera instead.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, someone on the team like Mystery Science Theater 3000.
To get down.
But I've been playing a little bit of the second Gex game, Enter the Gecko, which is a 3D platformer, unlike this one, which obviously, you know, standard side scroller with a few unique mechanics. I think the series doesn't really find its identity until the second game.
Yeah.
Because with
Go ahead. Sorry.
Because with, you know, usage of a 3D space and 3D graphics, there's a lot more opportunity for interesting environmental design and more on-the-nose parodies. I'm trying to get that power up, and every time I miss it and then get squished. One sec, just... Oh, I thought someone had sent something in chat. No, it was just notifications from your server. That's why I paused the game.
Oh,
Notifications that I had gone live. Thank you. Thank you, Streamcord. I'm pretty sure I know when I'm live. I'm not Darkside Phil. I don't stream myself live when I don't want to be live.
okay.
If you know, you know.
Is it bad that I see this and like I've been clipping back and forth to try and get more of that thing that I was showing you guys earlier worked on? Is like Ninja Gecko what? So much.
I mean, he's that's one of his more unique bits of his moveset is being able to
yeah.
stick to walls and backgrounds. Since
And the
he
fact
is
that
a
they-
lizard.
Yeah, specifically a gecko, and they're known for climbing.
Yeah. I like it when you know, mascot platformers work in aspects of the mascot design into their moveset.
Yeah. And, like, it's a unique feature that you didn't see a lot during that time frame anyway. Like, the closest you got was somebody sliding slowly down a wall.
Yeah. You would get, like, maybe a wall jump if you were lucky, but not, like, being able to stick to walls and just climb up them freely.
Let alone the background.
Yeah, but only specific backgrounds, and it does a good job of conveying what backgrounds are climbable and what aren't by using different tile sets. Like, for 1994, when this originally came out on the 3DO, I'm playing the PS1 version, because that's a bit easier to emulate, but it has the downside of, every version except for the 3DO version doesn't have a save feature.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. There's no reason for it to not have a save feature on PS1.
It might have been a formatting thing, but even then, the hardware wasn't too distinct. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why it was ported so quickly after the 3DO version came out. It was like 6 months to a year, I think? Like, it came out on both, after the 3DO release, it came out on both PS1 and Sega Saturn, and both versions of the both of those ports don't have a save feature. They only have passwords.
Yeah, that's weird. Especially when you consider that, like, save files became the norm.
It's especially weird because, it was my understanding that in the early days of the PlayStation, Sony mandated that games had to have a save feature in order to get their approval for release on the PS1.
Yeah,
but obviously
so, like,
they let you slip through the cracks. They let you slip through the cracks, I guess. But that's also why you saw a few earlier, like, first year or two of PS1 titles have password features. It was because, you know, you had to buy the memory card separately. Like, that's why Crash Bandicoot has a password feature. But only in the first game.
I didn't even realize that. Then again, I didn't play the original Crash Bandicoot all that often.
I would argue that the only reason to go back to the original PS1 Crash Bandicoot is just to see how the series started. Hi, Psionic Hacks. Like, you know, see the series' humble origins. But if you want a better gameplay experience, I would say the Insane Trilogy version offers a better game.
Yeah. Like, I remember playing Crash 1 a couple of times on the PS1.
This level just isn't loving you right now, is it?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to grind on lives and then fuck that entire thing up.
I mean, hey, an attempt was made.
Let me make sure my tracking's working right. Oh, I see. It's that I'm sitting in an awkward position. That's what the problem was.
What do you mean my shoulder is now my head?
So, like, you've seen basically all there is to see of that level. The Jungle World, I think, only has, like, 3 levels and a boss in it? Or is it 2 levels and a boss? It's the shortest world of all of them. Oh, you can't refight the bosses. That sucks.
Well,
so I can't show you the mediocre dragon boss or the awesome Gamera boss.
Darn. Perhaps we'll have to do a thon at some point.
Bob Hope has more color in his cheeks.
I'll show you at least one of the Kung Fu World levels, and then we'll move on to the final world, Resopolis.
Did they really just make a dragon fruit pun?
Pick up my lunch.
Probably. Now, given that this is a 90s depiction of Kung Fu movies, let's see how many outdated stereotypes we can see in it. Oh, there's just Raiden.
Yeah,
from Mortal
literally.
Kombat.
Bonsai trees. Kanji silk painting.
It doesn't matter.
Grasshopper. Okay.
Yeah, grasshopper.
Again, dragon fruit.
God damn it.
I don't think you ever see that thing in any of the levels anyway. It was just that
Which is
whole
kind of sad.
that whole sprite assembly was just made for that intro screen, if I remember correctly.
What do electric eels have to do with kung fu movies?
I mean, eel is a popular kind of sushi, and electric
Yeah, but
eels
that's
make
something
electric eels make for a good water hazard, while fitting thematically with an overall Asian-inspired aesthetic. Yeah, this is the dreaded water level I was talking about.
Sorry, boys, we cut the electricity sketch. Oh, yeah, it's tail time.
It's tail time.
Closest thing that Gex has to his own catchphrase.
Come on, Jake, it's Chinatown.
Yeah, can't do the Gamera boss again.
Darn.
Remember what's Arnold Schwarzenegger? I'll be back.
Yeah, those
Yeah,
cool
they
dragons
missed a
only
huge-
show up in the stage intros. Oh yeah, sumo
They missed a
wrestlers,
huge opportunity with that.
fireworks.
This is the year of the gecko. Snap, crackle, and... Hope this is the
Well, that was almost a Rice Krispies pun.
Almost, except he just quit on Snap and Crackle.
I think the means of it was supposed to be that, since it's an action platformer, snap crackle, by the time you whip your tail around the next time, you hear the snap for a pop.
I wasn't even there.
I think you're putting more thought into these one-liners than the developers did.
Maybe. Who knows?
Also, I should mention that Gex has a, I guess you could call it a celebrity voice actor? Comedian Dana Gold voices Gex throughout the series.
Nice.
And, except for in the European versions of Gex 2 and Gex 3, where in Gex 2, in the European version, he was voiced by British comedian Leslie Phillips. And in Gex 3, in the European version, I cannot remember this actor's name because I haven't really seen any of his work. But he was on. Have you ever seen Red Dwarf?
No, I have not, sadly.
He's a recurring actor on Red Dwarf, playing a character called the Cat,
Ah.
which basically amounts to, like, in terms of how the voices sound, in Gex 2's European release, he sounds like a suave, smug British man. Like, oh, yes, whereas in Gex 3, he sounds like a jive black man.
Huh.
Snap, crackle, and...
But only in the European versions, because that was just a bit of localization they did for the European market.
For some
There's also
reason.
Japanese localizations as well, and they have some horrifying box art in an attempt to try and cutesify Gex's design.
Oh no. Okay, let's do this.
And flashback, I wasn't even there. If for a plane crash, I could eat the other passengers. Hey baby, it's the 4th of July. Hey baby, it's the 4th of July.
Surprise, motherfucker!
Probably think that hurt.
Ah!
Probably the guy hurt.
Supplies, motherfucker. Some flies, motherfucker. Large fries, motherfucker. Danny John Jules, that's the actor's name. Yeah, he played Gex in the European version of Gex 3, Deep Cover Gecko.
Obi-Wan has
Can I
taught you well.
find?
That's not a kung fu movie, Gex. What are you doing? You're slipping, my dude.
Come on, Jake, it's Chinatown.
Obi-Wan has taught you well.
I think I found it, and it's. Yeah, they attempted, but it's kind of weird.
Yeah, they attempted to cutesify his design and instead made a polygonal monstrosity.
Oh god, this image is. Hang on.
It gets worse the more you look at it.
This is the image I found. I don't know if it's correct or not.
Let's see. No, that's the box art. That's the Japanese box art for the first Gex. You want to see horrifying? Look at the Japanese box art for Gex Enter the Gecko, which is the one where it's a polygonal monstrosity.
The CGI one that has a weird tie-dye-ish swirly pattern in the background, and it looks like they
Yes.
tried making like graffiti art.
Yes,
Ah,
That
yes,
one.
this one.
Don't be afraid.
yes.
I mean, fear if you want to.
The fuck? The fuck? The absolute fuck is that thing?
That is Japan's attempt to make Gex cuter for the Japanese market.
You want to know the worst one? You want to know the worst one, JK?
What is it?
It made it to the disc art.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so every time you pop that game in, you had to look at that.
Sure did.
Oh, jeez.
Like, cutesifying Western platformer mascot designs was not unheard of for Japanese releases. They famously did that to great success with Crash Bandicoot.
I think part of the problem is they tried using CGI on this character when they were a 2D design.
Well, he's 3D in that game. The problem
but
the problem, in my opinion, is that he doesn't look like his in-game model.
at all. Nope.
What are you, a student loan officer?
Hope not. I already paid mine off. You can't prove anything.
Student loans? What are those? I don't pay those stinking stupid loans.
Speaking of school-related stuff, turns out I won't have to worry about my school schedule interfering with my streams because my class got canceled for the whole semester because I was the only one who signed up for it.
Oh dear. Well, on the one hand,
So I just have nothing to do for the next few months at the moment. Res Night Fever.
can't tell if that's supposed to be Friday or Saturday night. I want to say Saturday, but it could be Friday. No, wait, it's Friday
probably
Night Funk, Saturday Night Fever.
Saturday Night Fever, Friday Night Funkin'. Or as Okayu accidentally said when she first played Friday Night Funkin', Friday Night Fucking. Which, you know, just saying the innuendo out loud on accident. Because she saw F-U and thought it was fucking. It's okay, she's Japanese, she doesn't speak English, she didn't know what she was saying.
Accents are a thing.
Ah, yes.
It's like how another Hololive girl, Miko, whenever she doesn't know the English lyrics to We Will Rock You. So whenever she would sing it back in the day until she like finally learned the lyrics and then just turned this into a running gag, instead of saying We Will Rock You, she would say We Are Fuck You.
I mean, considering the lyrics, she's not that far off, but...
And for the rest of the lyrics, she would go like da dee da dee 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 da dee dee da 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 dee 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 da 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 we are fuck you.
That's adorable, honestly.
Miko's adorable in general because she has this really cute voice, and also just like her grasp on English is so tenuous that people say she speaks her own dialect called elite English.
Why is it that my mind thinks the one who was asking the question, why is the water on fire?
Oh, that's
Or fire
Corone.
in the- Okay.
Corone.
Okay.
Water in the fire. Why?
Why?
She came out with a whole song in English like a month or two ago.
Nice.
Corone did. It's called Trouble Wander. With Juan being in quotation marks because it's a pun on the onomatopoeia for the sound that a dog makes. She was also in Sonic Frontiers. As I've shown on some of my streams before. In Japan, Corone is a official Sonic brand ambassador.
Okay.
So she got her own Japan exclusive pre-order DLC for Sonic Frontiers. And thankfully you can just mod it into the international versions.
Cute.
And one of them is replacing the sound effects with Corone noises.
That's beautiful.
Read that book. Holiday snaps. Very good.
Wait, the guy who's addicted to television and knows an encyclopedia collection of commercials told us to read a book.
Yes. Like, canonically, the reason he's obsessed with TV is not because he likes watching TV. It's a coping mechanism to deal with the death of his father.
Anything but this.
Using television as escapism. Yeah, I can see it.
That's pretty much just in a nutshell.
Yeah. Why do you think we became VTubers?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, it's because I'm camera shy, because I don't like how I look.
Oh. And why was that? Couldn't have had anything to do with, like, modern media and how it portrays what is the air quote definition of attractiveness? I know.
Not necessarily. It's more so childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Or just like trauma that I faced throughout my many years that has molded me into that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but
I won't go into detail on that here because I don't want this to turn into some bullshit pity party.
oh my god.
Yes, stop yawning. No sleep, as Corone would say.
Says this as I reach over to my gamer subs.
I don't have any gamer drinks right now, so I'm just drinking day-old coffee.
No, that's a gamer drink. I literally have a pot of it in my carafe right now. It's tomorrow's breakfast.
I didn't have time to go to the grocery and pick up some Ghost because that's the only energy drink that I like that they sell at local stores. Okay, I'll hydrate. I'll lubricate my throat for whoever redeemed that. Ah! Almost dropped my water bottle. But I caught it with my dead cat-like reflexes.
Dead cat-like reflexes.
Yeah, dead cat-like reflexes.
As in very bad reflexes.
Yeah, I know. We got it. We got it.
I got that line from Drake and Josh. I felt that quoting a nostalgic TV show would be appropriate for the game we're playing.
Nice. Excellent. Yes.
Also, a fun fact about Drake and Josh, you know the game sphere?
Uh-huh.
That wasn't a prop that they made for that show. It's actually a CD player. Like, you can buy those.
That almost reminds me, there was an episode of Star Trek in which, I forget what exactly happened, but long story short, they wound up using a toy for Star Trek as a prop that it was supposed to be.
I mean, that was pretty common in a lot of lower budget TV shows. Like a story that's been told a lot of times by former Power Rangers actors from the Mighty Morphin era of the show is that they would often lose or break their prop morphers. So they would just go down to the local toy store and get the toy morphers because they looked close enough to the actual props.
Yeah. Oh, no, that works, especially if you weren't taking a close shot of it.
Yeah, because you never really had any close-ups of the morphers unless it was like whenever they got a new power coin, so like once a season.
Or when they were trading out who was what ranger, in which case there was a close-up of the hands trading the coin, not the morpher.
Yeah, because usually when they were I know at least for the first time that they traded out rangers, like at the very least Austin St. John wasn't even on set for a lot of that because he had already left the show. So they wrote around him by just reusing audio from previous episodes of him.
I mean,
basically, they chef from South Park'd him. You know, that episode after Isaac Hayes left because of Scientology, and they like did a whole episode dedicated to criticizing Scientology again, this time for making Isaac Hayes, the voice of Chef, leave, and the way they presented it was by, instead of getting like an Isaac Hayes or impersonator, they just took like random bits of audio from previous episodes and sentence mixed them together very poorly in a way that sounds very fake. To make it sound like he was brainwashed.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, it worked.
The sad part of that story is that Isaac Hayes' kids came out years later and said that he didn't quit of his own accord. It was the church that quit for him.
Oh, jeez. That's like super low.
I mean, Scientology tries to control every aspect of your daily life.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Also, did you know that Edgar Winter put out a Scientology album?
Oh, boy.
You know, famous rock musician Edgar Winter. When I say Scientology album, I don't just mean like an album preaching about Scientology. It was co-written by L. Ron Hubbard himself. And it was literally just passages from a series of his books called Mission Earth, which was like a 10-volume sci-fi series that also low-key preached some stuff about Scientology, put in rock album form.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
The album's called Mission Earth.
Okay.
The funny part is, according to Todd in the Shadows Train Records episode on it, he didn't even pick, like, the important parts of the book. Elrond didn't pick the important parts of the book to turn into songs. He just picked, like, random chapters. Like, there's a whole song dedicated to a character who only shows up in one chapter.
That's... okay. Like, couldn't have just selected a character that would have become a... Like, you see him early on and then becomes relevant 10 chapters later, just a one-off character?
Like, it's not like he was adapting just a single book in the series. He was adapting the entire 10-book series into one album.
That's... yeah. You could have highlighted some more interesting plot points, I'd imagine.
And the last song on the album doesn't even wrap up the story. The last song on the album is just about an amusement park.
What the fuck?
Like an amusement park that's supposed to represent all the decadence and depravity of humankind, but the way the song itself is composed makes it sound like more fun than Disney World.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Like, it makes it sound like something you would hear in a commercial for an amusement park. Also, there's a song that's supposed to be like a burlesque number, performed by a burlesque dancer.
Uh-huh.
Which is about, like... I'm not gonna get into much of the lyrical content, because it's a bit sussy in the non-fun way. Basically, the song is called Teach Me. And in the context of the story, it's the love interest of the novel performing a burlesque number as her introduction into the story. But the actual, like, accompaniment for the song version of it, because the lyrics were written out in the book, the song itself is like a soft rock AM radio love ballad.
As a burlesque number.
It's like some fucking Bryan Adams bullshit. When it's supposed to be a burlesque number, you know, for stripping.
Yeah, that's supposed to be da da da. Not what?
Instead, it's like she said, "Teach me right now." It's got, like, you know, piano and soft electric guitars. It's an interesting kind of bad album, to say the least. And it wasn't on any streaming services until after Todd in the Shadows came out with his episode on it. Like, it was so obscure in terms of its availability that he had to buy a vinyl copy of it.
Oh, God. It's like, I hear that, and the dichotomy stuck in my head is, you know, the traditional, air quote, traditional strip song, and,
if you're gonna make a rock
what's
song
the name?
for, like, a stripping number, at least make it something like Pour Some Sugar on Me.
Yeah, no, I got, what's the name? Rocky Horror Picture Show. I Wanna Be Dirty.
Yeah.
Like, at least make it like that.
Yeah. Something that's got some energy to it, instead of something that sounds like it's going to be on the soundtrack to a movie that's going to be, like, #1 at the box office for one weekend and then forgotten a weekend later.
Pretty much.
So, in other words, a Bryan Adams song.
Yeah.
And that was Bryan Adams that we're dissing, by the way, not Ryan Adams, who actually is good. They get confused a lot, and Ryan Adams does not like being confused for Bryan Adams. Because Bryan Adams is a tool.
Yeah.
Like, to the point where there's this very, like, almost encyclopedic in its knowledge music site called AllMusic, but they have no entries on Bryan Adams, because Bryan Adams sued them to remove their entries on him because they talked about how negatively received his later music was. So, like, you can find the entire history of Rednecks, you know, the band that did Cotton Eye Joe, on AllMusic, but you can't find Bryan Adams.
Oh, dear.
By the way, if you want to see something that'll change your perception of the band that did Cotton Eye Joe, look up the album cover for their debut album, Sex and Violins. It had to be censored after its initial printing.
For obvious reasons, I would assume.
It's not because it was anything sexy, it's because it was gross.
I mean, you try having sex with a violin and see how it goes.
Well, that's not even what's depicted. It's like the members' faces superimposed over like a bucket that is being pissed into.
Okay. That's an image in my brain
yeah,
now.
we're engaging in some premarital gex tonight.
Yep.
We're not playing
Lot of
sex.
joy.
That's Donkey Kong Barrel Blast.
Oh, yeah.
As anyone who's seen Scott the Woz will attest to, you cannot play Donkey Kong Barrel Blast without getting laid. It is both a blessing and a curse. Oh yeah, we know that Gex fucks because, spoilers for the second Gex game, the final cutscene cuts away right before he has sex with someone.
Ah.
And, the third Gex game is the only one to have a T rating because his love interest is played by a Playboy model.
Cute.
I think I know who you're referring to.
Not Pamela Anderson. I can't remember her name. She was also on Baywatch, just like Pamela Anderson. But,
I'm not talking about the model. I'm talking about the character.
I mean, her name's just Agent Extra.
Yeah. So, again, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, her in her, spy cat suit with deep cleavage got the game a T rating. But, in the N64 version, because they couldn't fit the FMVs into it, that one has an E rating because it has less of her as a result of not being able to fit the cutscenes in.
Okay. Grosso.
For the record, I'm not even the one who came up with the joke about premarital gex. One of the games has that as a sign in the background of a level. like a handwritten sign that says no premarital gex.
I could only imagine that this level was annoying to figure out as a kid.
I can too, given that if you were playing it on PS1, you couldn't save, like I've mentioned so many times.
Yeah.
But I have to bring it up because why would they not include a save feature when it was already in the previous version? Why would you take that out? Conker crawled so Gex could fuck. Gex came out before Conker, so it's actually the other way around. Like, the first Gex game came out in 94, and the last one came out in 98. Conker wouldn't get his own game until 2001, although it was in development for most of the 90s. Conker's development history is a very troubled yet interesting one. Like, Nintendo was okay with publishing it, despite what a lot of, you know, revisionist history says, but they didn't want to market it. So part of the reason that Conker is such a rare game nowadays is because the only marketing it got was on late-night TV blocks and in issues of Playboy.
Go figure.
Like, it was a Nintendo-published game that Nintendo did not advertise in their own magazine because they were afraid kids would buy it.
That should say something.
Understandable.
That's also why if you look at a prototype for the North American box art. If you look at a prototype for the North American box art, it has a bigger than average M rating on it that they ended up not going with. Because they wanted to make sure that no stupid parents that don't look at the ratings were going to buy this M-rated game that is very much not for kids for their little crotch goblins and then complain about how it's not appropriate for kids.
Geez.
And yet that still happened.
Will always happen.
But yeah, on the topic of Gex and fucking, I still say that if the Gex remastered collection ends up selling well enough to warrant a new Gex game, they should do a promotional stunt at a trade show where they give out Gex branded condoms that say Gex before you sex.
Either that or literally just don't have premarital Gex.
Yes. Or something like I'll make sure to have safe Gex. I'm not even I joke about that as like, wouldn't that be wacky? But I can name more than one game that's given out promotional condoms as a press release, as a press conference goodie. One of them was Conker.
Go figure.
And another one was the teen-rated platformer Super Mario 64 ripoff made edgy Vex, which said Vex before you sex on its condom packaging. They're a collector's item now, but I don't recommend using them, given that they're probably a good 20 years out of date.
Expired condoms do not work the same. Oh, wait.
You say that like you know from experience.
No comment.
Hey, I wasn't gonna say it. That was all Ari. That was all Ari.
Finally. Oh, I didn't even get the remote for this stage, so it wouldn't count as beating it. What's up with edgy platformers and sex? I mean, America's a very puritanical society, so nothing is considered more adult and edgy in American culture than sex.
Sex.
Like, we don't think violence is bad, but we abhor depictions of two people engaging in consensual lovemaking.
For some reason. Like, heaven forbid people actually enjoy being in the company of another person.
Yeah, everyone knows that you and your partner are supposed to hate each other's guts. Or at least that's what every boomer comic ever has taught me.
Pretty much.
The funny thing about Vex in particular, having condom-themed promotion is that's not actually, like, a game that's focused on fan service, even though its only female character has very prominently poking out nipples through her tight bodysuit that are otherwise never addressed. Because the game is completely unfinished. She's our only female character, and she shows up like halfway through the game, unannounced, and you find out, oh, she's the narrator. And she's like an actual character in the story. Blowing someone's brains out, that's fine, but someone blowing their partner, sinful. Exactly. Like, in Grand Theft Auto, it wasn't the violence that people were bitching about, that led to some of the games being recalled, especially San Andreas. It was the fact that there was sex in them.
Wait, San Andreas got recalled?
San Andreas got recalled after its first printing because some intrepid gamers hacked the game and found an unused sex minigame in it.
Ah.
The infamous hot coffee debacle is what it was called. Because when you hacked it to, you know, basically change a 0 to a 1 and enable the minigame, you could only do it with people that you were dating in the game, and they would always say, do you want to come in for some hot coffee?
Ah.
You didn't even see anything explicit because the camera was positioned on the outside of the building. And if you did anything to clip the camera into the room, they were fully clothed. So it's like Ride to Hell Retribution, except it was interactive.
I was gonna say, so it was kind of like The Sims Woohoo, except...
It was like The Sims Woohoo, except you controlled it.
Yeah.
But that led to the initial printings of the game being recalled, and temporarily the game being slapped with an adults-only rating. The only non-pornographic game to get an adults-only rating at the time.
All because somebody figured out that if you break into the game and change one digit...
Basically, yeah.
Or a couple. Yeah.
And in later printings, they took out the code for that minigame entirely, so you couldn't hack it back in. Although... That wasn't the smart
thing to do to begin with, but then again, mods are a thing.
Although, that story had a bit of a second coming, pun intended, with the terrible remasters of Grand Theft Auto's PS2 era that came out a few years ago. Because, one of the first patches that came out was not one of the many bug fixes that they needed. It was removing some leftover files that were not supposed to be in the remaster of San Andreas, one of which was the stuff for the hot coffee minigame.
Can we say...
so we almost got HD hot coffee. We almost got hot coffee in 4K. But yes, we're in trouble. Okay, so, like, I only know that song from the Power Rangers movie soundtrack. But, like, can we talk about how that movie soundtrack was, like, the most early 90s soundtrack ever?
Oh my God,
full of, like, every fucking one-hit wonder of the 90s.
Between that and the Digimon movie.
Digimon movie was more late 90s with like
Oh, yeah.
so much
yeah.
ska music. And then the final scene of the movie, they play All Star.
Which is funny how that song became a meme after, like...
It became a meme from Shrek, but Digimon the movie came out before Shrek.
Yeah, this
Exactly.
Yeah, like...
The 95 Power Rangers movie is the one that we're talking about. The 2017 one is nowhere near as fun, but it's not necessarily a bad movie on its own. It's just more like, it's okay for what it is, but it doesn't really need to exist.
Yeah, like if
Like, I don't think anyone was asking for like a PG-13 take on Power Rangers at the time. Nowadays we have, well, I would say nowadays we have the Boom Studio comics for that, but those ended.
Of course.
But you know, nothing says we are in tune with what the Power Rangers audience wants. Like having your introduction to your Red Ranger be him accidentally jacking off a bull.
I mean, okay. I understand what they were trying to do with the 2017. They were taking a literal translation of the description of what Zordon was looking for.
Are you sure
Teenagers
Power /
with
Rangers was pretty
attitude.
popular? It got it has a high view count, but it got very mixed to negative reception from both Power Rangers
Yeah,
fans and people who worked on Power Rangers as like the exact opposite of what an adult take on Power Rangers should be. Part of it
like,
being that
one hand-
Adi Shankar, the director of that short and also executive producer of the Netflix Castlevania series and the upcoming Netflix Devil May Cry series, whenever that gets out of development hell,
Oh my god, yeah.
is not a fan of Power Rangers. So he was making it like out of spite.
But yeah, no. One thing I think they tried to do in a good way, but missed the mark, was the initial description that Zordon gave Alpha for finding the next group of Rangers was
5
teenagers
overbearing,
with-
overly... depending on whether you're watching the intro, it's either 5 teenagers with attitude or 5 overbearing and over-emotional humans. Not teenagers!
Yes, unfortunately. But yeah, no. Teenagers with attitude was like the absolute simplified version of what he was looking for. Hormones, out of control, all that lovely bull. What we got from the TV show...
What we got from the TV show was the
5
most goody-goody people who ever existed
Yeah,
outside of Full
yeah.
House.
Well, but what we got with the movie was, yeah, we had the cheerleader, but the cheerleader was having conflict with their parents and was falling out of their social group for actions taken. We had, you know, the kids that were bullied because of one thing or another. We had them finally
doing what the main series was too afraid to do and confirming that Billy is autistic.
Yeah. I mean, could they have portrayed that better? Probably. But
yeah, as someone who's autistic, I'd say they could have portrayed that better because most of his portrayal of his autism amounts to he says he's autistic but doesn't display any sort of like signs of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some cases in which it is mild.
I am
point-
diagnosed as mild autistic, but like with him, it comes off as more of an informed attribute rather than an actual part of his character.
Yeah.
Like, my
the
problem
worst
is
thing
not
is, like-
don't get me wrong, I don't want it to be like some fucking The Good Doctor thing where,
Yeah,
or like
yeah,
a Big
no,
Bang
there's-
Theory thing where it's like, you know, neurotypical's
least
understanding of autistic people as
At
like,
least
you
show
know,
the, like, hyper-focus side of thing. Or,
Yeah.
like, this is my topic. Let me have my topic.
yeah. Instead, the only reason you know that Billy's autistic in the 2017 movie is because he never shuts up about it.
Yeah, which is not... No. Just no.
Or imply the Yellow Ranger was implied to be gay and stated to be gay by her actress, but they never they never go any further with that in the movie itself. The most you get is like they're having a heart-to-heart conversation between the whole team, and they like ask her if she's having boyfriend problems, and she says no. Then they're like, girlfriend problems, and then she just like doesn't answer, and that's the amount of her being technically our first LGBT representation in Power Rangers before we got a much better one in the final couple seasons.
Yeah.
With like an actual on-screen lesbian relationship that was portrayed pretty well.
This looks like an all-nighter at Richard Simmons' house. Yahoo!
But yeah, the 2017 movie, I appreciate it for trying to introduce actual character flaws to the Mighty Morphin team, who, if you watch the show itself, part of the reason I think Mighty Morphin has aged the worst is because it advertises itself as teenagers with attitude, and the only attitude they show is towards the evildoers. Like, outside of that, they are the most prim and proper, perfect.
Yeah,
like,
they're straight-A students with extracurricular activities that volunteer in their spare time, and
yeah, all of that.
This is attitude. Meanwhile, the bullies get bullied more than they bully.
Yeah, the characters that are supposed to be the bullies get bullied by the heroes more often than they bully other people.
Like,
which is why Bulk and Skull have the best. Which is why Bulk and Skull have the most compelling arc of that whole Mighty Morphin through In Space saga. Because you see them go from bumbling oafs and, like, ne'er-do-wells to becoming heroes in their own right.
Yeah. And then later on, like, okay, they kind of go back to their silly time frame. Because I believe in, like, Megaforce? Or something like that, or Super
Samurai was when Bulk came back. It was Bulk and Spike because they couldn't get Jason Narvi to participate, so they had it be Skull's like son or nephew or something.
Yeah,
I think it was.
And then
son.
Jason Narvi as Skull shows up for a brief cameo in the final episode of Samurai.
Yeah, but like they're going through is like, okay, this is what it means to be a samurai. And it's like, your heart's there, my dude, but.
Like, part of the reason they did that is because it was supposed to be a big brand relaunch for Power Rangers because Saban had gotten back the rights. So they were trying to make it as Mighty Morphin-like as possible.
And it just wasn't. I'm sorry.
It wasn't. That's also why they did it. They used a new cover of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers theme for that season. That wasn't anywhere near as good. Partly so they didn't have to pay Ron Wasserman.
Yeah.
And that's also why, like, the first episode has a lot of dialogue references to early episodes of Mighty Morphin, like the villain saying, "You're giving me a headache," or like complaining about headaches in general. Because Rita would always say, "I have a headache."
Yeah.
That is wild. That's it spotted.
Like, it was trying to recapture the magic of Mighty Morphin. But
in trying to force the recapture, they lost it completely, let's be honest.
And then they tried to do that again with Megaforce and fucked it up even more.
And then Super Megaforce.
Yeah, Super Megaforce should have been all of Megaforce because that's clearly what it was building up to. Like, the first half of Megaforce felt like it was done out of contractual obligation rather than them actually wanting to do it.
And then we finally got to the story that they wanted to tell. Yeah, it was, oh man.
Because, like, it was supposed to be the 20th anniversary series.
Yeah.
And
meanwhile, like, the Disney stuff was, I stopped at Jungle Fury because, I'm sorry, the Zords looked like Cars, and I'm talking about Disney Pixar's Cars. don't need, like,
that's
cardboard
because
box formation.
if you're talking about
That was-
RPM, are you talking about the
Oh,
RPM
no.
series where?
No, I'm talking Jungle Fury. Hang on.
Oh, Jungle Fury.
Jungle Fury had like weird ass swords.
Jungle Fury did have weird Zords. RPM Zords make sense for why they look so goofy, despite it being like a serious post-apocalyptic setting. When you find out that the Sentai it was adapted from was a comedy series, where the Zords would talk.
Yeah. Glad they took that idea out of the American version.
I'm trying. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to find the one in particular because it looked like all the Zords had cartoon eyes.
That was RPM. That was RPM.
Okay.
But yeah, those were there because it was a holdover from the Sentai stock footage.
Yeah, oh
they
my
just
God,
edited out the parts where those Zords with the cartoony eyes actually talk. So they just have those cartoony eyes for no reason.
That drove me nuts for the longest time. And
it's like how
here's the other thing. If the show is called RPM, why did they use animal-themed vehicles?
Again, it was a holdover from the Sentai. Like the pitch for it, it wasn't planned to be an adaptation of that Sentai. It was planned to be like a serious post-apocalyptic series in like the darkest season yet. And then the showrunners were handed the Go-Onger Sentai footage. And we're like, oh shit. Oh shit.
Wait, we have to work with this?
Yeah.
Like, I actually enjoyed RPM. It's one of my favorite.
It's got one of the best stories. And it's a miracle that it works as almost seamlessly as it does, given the footage it has to work with.
Yeah.
Like, I tried.
Yeah.
But I kind of lost support of it when, like, the Mercury Ranger came in, and then we found out Red was an android.
That sounds like...
That was Operation Overdrive.
Okay, that was Overdrive. Can you tell there was a hot while?
Yeah.
That things were kind of confusing for me because not every syndication was playing the same one at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
If you wanted to watch the actual up-to-date seasons, you had to watch it, I think, only on Toon Disney at the time.
Yeah.
Back when it was called Toon Disney before they rebranded it to Disney XD.
Yep.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Because Disney's whole thing was like, the reason they got Power Rangers was because of a package deal of them trying to buy Fox Family and turn it into ABC Family. But to do so, they had to buy majority stake in Saban, and as a result got like their entire show library that they wanted nothing to do with besides rerun it. But they had to make new seasons of at least Power Rangers due to contractual obligations in non-North American territories.
And so
mostly in Europe.
Got a re-show of it with like Batman levels of pow, bang, zap.
Yeah, the
reversioned childhood.
The season one, the Mighty Morphin reversioned one was like Disney being like, okay, we're done with Power Rangers and we're just going to like syndicate an HD remaster of the old seasons and put in as little effort as possible while also reworking the parts that we don't have the licensing rights to, like changing the soundtrack.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It was bad.
I liked RPM for the fact is that it was a Terminator-esque sort of thing, and I enjoyed that. I won't say it's for everybody, but it was definitely enjoyable for me.
Like, basically the reversion season where they like took season 1 of Mighty Morphin and added all those wacky filters and comic book effects to it is basically what Disney wanted to do with Power Rangers the whole time, but weren't allowed to do.
I'll figure.
That's also why, yeah, this level's, the main thing is I'm trying to find the remote, and I don't know where it could be. Because you have to find the remotes to open the next stages, which it seems there's only, like, one other stage and then the boss.
Hello, cutie.
But yeah, that's all. The whole like, we want nothing to do with this brand because we see it as goofy and embarrassing thing is also why they slashed the budget so much that they had to start filming instead of filming in LA like they used to for the Saban era. They had to start filming in New Zealand because it was cheaper.
Don't ask us why filming out of country was cheaper, but yeah.
Well, it's because LA famously has very high costs for filming permits.
Yeah, I can see it.
Like, all of California is very expensive to film in. That's part of why, if you're familiar with the Angry Video Game Nerd movie, part of the reason that turned out to be a lot more difficult for James Rolfe to make than he thought it would be is because he decided to shoot on location in LA and Hollywood, and that ended up being way more expensive than he had originally budgeted out. Also, famously, being a Power Rangers actor is a horrible paying job because you're required you're required to do your own stunts, but it's non-union work. And
initially, yeah, they have since
they've unionized since, but they've unionized for some seasons, but not all of them.
Yeah. The original Mighty Morphin, those kids were forced under horrific conditions.
Yeah, that's part of the reason that we lost 3 Rangers after season 1 was because the pay wasn't worth the work they were doing.
Yeah.
Like, I believe it was Austin St. John, which, you know, piece of shit nowadays. But his point still rings true. He could have earned more money working a full-time shift at McDonald's than he was breaking, like, you know, basically breaking his back doing Power Rangers.
Yeah. Like, it was bad. And then you double down and you look at certain individuals' cases, like, oh, his name escapes me. Billy.
David Yost.
He dealt with so much harassment.
Yeah, because he was gay. Well, he still is gay. But this was like being gay in the 90s when it was not socially acceptable. It was not as, so he was relentlessly bullied by the crew for it, which is why he ended up quitting partway through Zeo.
Yeah, and we lost the Gold Ranger as a result. But the fact that, like, he remained for that long.
Yeah, the original plan was for Billy to become the Gold Ranger in Zeo, but they had to rewrite that because he quit. So they had to settle on bringing back Austin St. John because they were able to convince him to come back for, like, half a season's worth of episodes. Also, hi, Kier. How'd your stream go?
Hello, Kier.
Hey, Kier.
For the record, my favorite Ranger was always Andros from In Space. Partly because
Silver? Yeah. Oh, wait,
no, he was red.
Yeah.
Zane was the Silver Ranger.
I got my aliens confused, so sue me.
I mean, they're from the same planet and they're I would say, if it weren't for the fact that Zane is explicitly stated to be into Corone, I would say they're definitely a gay couple. But no, they're just heterosexual life partners.
There's absolutely some bro in that row, yeah.
There's definitely some bromance in that. There's definitely some romance in that bromance. Like, he had a whole wing of the ship dedicated just to keeping Zane alive.
Yeah, like, you don't do that for just a friend. I mean, some people might, but still. That's a lot of effort to put into a friend. You know, just a friend. I'm sounding like a terrible person, aren't I?
No. But yeah, Andros is my favorite Ranger overall, partly because In Space was my first Power Ranger season. Yeah, I got into it pretty late because I was born in 93, so I wasn't there for the Mighty Morphin boom.
How? I'm trying to figure out then how I did, because I'm only a year older than you.
I mean, Mighty Morphin was heavily rerun during that like period throughout the 90s. At least on my local like Fox affiliates, they would rerun, as far as the previous seasons go, they would rerun Mighty Morphin all the time whenever they ran out of In Space episodes, but they would never rerun Zeo or Turbo.
Yeah, I missed Turbo completely. Somehow I went from Mighty Morphin to Turbo, and I thought for the longest time that was the chronological order.
The only thing I ever saw from Turbo was the Turbo like prologue movie. You know, the one where they get the turbo powers. Like, required viewing for watching the Turbo series, which is a weird thing to think about nowadays. Power Rangers having required viewing in the form of a movie. Not a very good movie, but still, it's a movie.
It's a decent movie, yeah.
It's a fun movie. It's a fun bad movie. Not like so bad it's good, but like, you know, fun to just turn your brain off and enjoy it.
Yeah.
The headache comes in when you try to like analyze it as the next piece of the Power Rangers story of that era, where it's got so many plot holes that's basically plot Swiss cheese. Or I'm trying to remember what Kaiser Neko once said about like something that had a lot of plot holes in it in the Dragon Ball Z Abridged creator commentaries. More holes in it, the Swiss cheese factory filled with a lesbian mouse orgy.
Well now. Hey, yo.
And as it turns out, a lot of those plot holes in the Turbo movie are because there were scenes that were shot for the movie that were cut out of the final product and have since been lost.
Oh,
yeah.
Including a scene that justifies why they get the turbo powers, because it involves the Zeo suits being destroyed beyond repair.
Yeah. Something about you can't upgrade without a need for an upgrade.
Also, an entire subplot about, what was Johnny Young Bosch's character's name again? Adam, I think?
Yeah, I think it was Adam.
Him having a romance with a mermaid. That entire subplot was cut. It was filmed, but it was cut, and no footage of it exists. Outside of, like, a few bits of that lost footage made it into the trailer for the movie.
I would say, if I remember correctly, no, that wasn't right. I'm trying to remember what the counterpart for that in the Sentai was, and I want to say it was a relationship with the Peacock Guardian? Or the Buddha Peacock?
I don't know, because I've never seen like a proper Sentai series.
Oh my goodness.
There's a few that I'm interested in checking out just for, you know, the comparison's sake to
if you wanted to, I have the complete series for Zoolanger, which was the start for
That's one of them that I want to check out.
Ranger.
The other one that I really want to check out is Mega Ranger, because that's the equivalent of Power Rangers in space. Except that, like, Mega Ranger's interesting in that Power Rangers in space, they had built up before they got the Mega Ranger footage, because they saw a trailer for Mega Ranger. They were like, okay, this is going to be the last season of Power Rangers. We're going to have it set in space. Then they get the Mega Ranger footage, and we're like, oh, this isn't space-themed. This is video game themed.
We'll make it work. We'll figure out a way.
That's also why
cyber corruption. Yeah.
that's all. Well, that's why since it was intended to be the last season, because ratings were like going down season by season, to the point where they thought that ratings would never recover at that point. In Space was like, okay, this is gonna be the last season, so we'll let you shoot as much original footage as you need to make it fit with the space setting.
And wouldn't you know, that actually helped.
And it ended up boosting ratings so much that they uncanceled it, basically. But that led into problems with Lost Galaxy, where like the network was like, okay, In Space was so good, give us another season that's set in space. But the Sentai footage they had to work with was nature themed.
Yeah, so they went with like Lost.
It was a space traveling colony.
A space traveling colony and a cursed planet that they weren't going to be able to access for until the very end of the season.
Yeah, the entire
but the power
thing with
came from that planet. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole Lost Galaxy part of Lost Galaxy doesn't come in until towards the end of the series and only lasts for a couple episodes.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they like the show was a nightmare to work on, because they were like, they had so many plans for story arcs that they either had to shorten or cut entirely just due to not having the footage and not having the budget.
And then on top of that, like, the Lost Galaxy part came in to like practicality after the character that tied the entire group to that planet, I think she dies?
Yeah, the Pink Ranger, Kendricks, she dies like right one episode after the In Space team up. And even that had its own problems. Like, the reason they killed her off was because her actress had been diagnosed with leukemia. Thankfully, she survived and is still alive today. But the plan was for Patricia J. Lee, the Pink Ranger from In Space, to take over as the Lost Galaxy Pink Ranger from that point forward. But she said no, because they were going to pay her less than the rest of the cast. They were going to pay her guest star wages for a main starring role.
Yeah, no, bullshit. Yeah.
So then they ended up bringing back Corone as the Pink Ranger and gave her a really good arc about redeeming herself from her time as Astronema.
Yeah.
But like all of that was them writing by the seat of their pants. Lost Galaxy's production was so troubled.
The storylines. Yeah.
Lost Galaxy's production was so troubled that oftentimes they would like finish filming episodes with just a few days left to broadcast.
Oh dear Lord. Like, I hope you guys in post are really good at your job, because you got 48 hours.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of another, like, Scorpius was intended to be the main big bad of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, but the reason they kill him off after, like, the first story arc is because it turns out when you've got a guy who's basically a tentacle monster puppet, it doesn't make for very engaging fight scenes.
No, not really.
As we saw from his one fight scene.
Oh no, I've got this wrapped around me. Okay, time for the jump, right? Yeah. Do you got the strings attached? Yeah. Ah!
The Magna Defender thing went through a lot of issues with, like, having to rewrite the story as they went along, due to network mandates and budget cuts. The Lights of Orion thing was supposed to be longer.
Jeez.
The Magna Defender thing itself, he was only in there, even though he's technically not a Sixth Ranger in the Sentai footage. They made him a Sixth Ranger just because the network and the toy stores demanded that there be a Sixth Ranger for the set, because every series up to that point had a Sixth Ranger. So there was no morpher for him. There was no morpher for him, because in the original Sentai, he didn't appear unmorphed.
No, he did.
Or at least, like, not much. Like, he didn't appear much. So instead of using his morpher, because it also didn't look like it fit in line with the Gao Ranger morphers.
Yeah, because it wasn't a traditional morpher.
They use the morphers from Die Ranger.
Yeah.
For the Magna Defender. So that is the only... That and the White Ranger are the only things from Die Ranger that, like, properly got... obviously the Zords from Die Ranger.
That's what I was remembering. So in Die Ranger, I forget which character it was. I want to say it was Blue, but it might have been the Green Ranger. They had, like, their soulmate, like, reincarnated, bound for eternity partner was supposed to be the Peacock Buddha.
Yeah. Die Ranger ended up not getting adapted into Mighty Morphin. They just used its fight scene stock footage for the Zord fights, and then also used the suit design for the White Ranger. Because it looked aesthetically similar enough to the Zhu Ranger designs. But none of the other Die Ranger designs did. And they did the same thing with Kaku Ranger, except Kaku Ranger sort of got an adaptation in the Alien Rangers arc.
So yeah, it was the Green Ranger, and they had an entire romance arc. Which I think is what they might have been trying to reference for storyline elements for the mermaid incident.
Could have been.
Could have been.
Part of it was that, part of the, like, kind of weird writing for the Turbo movie was because the director, who also wrote the script for it, had just wasn't familiar with Power Rangers.
Yeah. I mean, even Power Rangers wasn't super familiar with its source material.
Power Rangers wasn't familiar with itself a lot of times, with all the continuity errors it had.
I mean, for crying out loud, the amount of, like, romance buildup they put in early on with Kimmy and Tommy, and then
she fucking breaks up with them through a Dear John letter in Zio.
So yeah.
So they can push, can push Tommy and Kat instead.
And it didn't ever feel quite as normal, and yet they made it canon in the time skip episode.
And they made it canon in the final few seasons as well by having them have a kid together.
Yeah, like, where was this relationship? You know, you never got to see that one bloom. You never had any mention of it in Dino Thunder. Like, what happened? Did they get a divorce? Did she keep the kid? Is this an alternate
as of
timeline?
In the 30th anniversary special, like, obviously Jason David Frank wasn't there for multiple reasons. One of them being they just declined to be a part of it. But Kat's actor was there. I can't remember her actress. And she mentions, like, that they are still married and that they have a son.
Which is canon to the, like, postscript episodes that they did. But still, it's like, again, where was this relationship in the show when we had the ability to see it?
Like, one of the weird things about how Power Rangers kept on having romances throughout the series is that as far as the romances go, the only one that was, like, portrayed as an actual relationship where they, like, regularly go on dates and regularly kiss each other was Tommy and Kimberly. Because, like, every other romance after that was more of a slow burn thing where they would finally admit their feelings for each other in the most G-rated way possible in the final episode.
I mean, to be fair, some of them were written into the original storylines too, and I'm talking the Sentai storylines. For instance, Time Force. where for the longest time you had that slow burn going on between red and pink, and then
Yeah, Time Force,
finally,
I think it works out very well in Time Force. It's more so like from the Disney seasons onward, where it's like they don't want to be too explicit in showing that they are a romantic couple, but they also want to ship them.
Whatever. Yeah, they Disney princessed whatever relationship they decided to put in. It's like, oh, it's super sweet, it's super innocent, and we don't want it to, like, get too far because that means we'd be spoiling the purity of these characters. And, yeah, it's like, just let them kiss. At this point, your primary fan base is, you know, late teens at the youngest.
One of my favorite, like, you know, obviously all the different Power Rangers actors went on to do various different things. One of my favorite ones that ended up happening was the Yellow Lost Galaxy Ranger, played by Serena Vincent. Ended up becoming a very, like, popular cult B-movie, horror movie actress.
Yeah, I could see it.
Like, outside of doing, like, nerd conventions for, like, Power Rangers stuff, she tours the horror movie convention circuit a lot.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you find your niche, go for it. Seriously.
And also for anyone that happened to have a crush on her character as a kid, or she was like a formative part of your childhood, if you know what I'm saying. Have you ever heard of the movie Not Another Teen Movie? You know, very much in the style of like Scary Movie and all those parody movies that were popular at the time. She plays a parody of the Russian girl from American Pie. Except she's always naked whenever she's on screen. Her character's name is Areola.
Okay.
And she speaks only in Russian with subtitles that make space to make sure that you can always see her boobs.
Oh, that's great. I mean, hey.
Yeah, if you ever wanted to see the Yellow Lost Galaxy Ranger naked, then watch Not Another Teen Movie is what I'm saying. That's also the one where you can see a young Chris Evans, mostly naked, only covered in whipped cream. And with a banana shoved up his ass.
Oh. Great, and now I have Pinky stuck in my head. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Yeah,
I think so. I think so, Brain. I think so, Brain. But why would anyone want to pierce Brosnan? That's my favorite one that Pinky ever said. Also, hi, Lulu. Yeah, you tuned in at quite an interesting conversation. I don't know if we're going to be able to make any progress past this point because I just can't find the remote for this stage. So, I am electing to change games for the rest of the stream to the Gex sequel because we're pretty much at the end of the game anyway. So we'll get to where Gex starts getting interesting. Just let me stop the recording real quick and then change the stream category.